He is a New York Times bestselling author, multiple times actor, lead singer of Fozzy, the rock band, and yes, by the way, a pro wrestler, and as you just heard, the current AEW World Champion. Please welcome Chris Jericho to the Kevin Lee Show.
I felt like I was going to the Hall of Fame with that introduction. There was like a whole "this is your life" type thing.
You're a walking meme, man. You're catchphrase central.
Well, before we get into it, let me just explain to you. So I've been watching the Golden Girls.
Here we go.
Because my wife got me into it, so now I'm a huge fan. So Blanche is Rue McClanahan, the horny one.
Yes.
Okay.
Rose is Betty White. She's kind of the dumb one. Sophia is the old lady, the mom.
That's
Still Getty. And then B. Arthur is Dorothy, who's
Chris is bringing this
coolest
up because,
character ever.
Because you guys spent 15 minutes not knowing any of it.
Riveting conversation, debating it. You can just Google. You guys know what this Google. You got 18 computers in here, and you're debating on who the horny one is. Just Google it, man.
Look, Chris.
I took it as he was horny for her, so I wasn't sure which one it could be.
I'd be Arthur, man. She's the best.
Nope.
Really?
You're
over Betty White?
Guy.
Really?
Oh, man.
Betty White, B. Arthur looks like she would spank you.
Yeah, she can manhandle.
Switch. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. We're unlike you, Chris, who has multiple jobs and seem to excel at all of them. We are bad at just the one job that we have here.
You know what the funny thing is? I forgot that Bean is doing this via satellite.
Yeah.
So somebody's talking. I'm looking at all four people. No one's talking. I'm like, how are you doing that?
I'm throwing my voice.
It's a talent, one of us has.
Thrown out of Seattle.
You have to guess which one.
I should just start moving my mouth just so.
Please
Just to confuse people.
You're screwing me up here.
Jensen, you told us before Chris came in that he was on your Drop the Mic show.
He
I was.
So he rocks Andy raps.
I loved having Chris on. Chris was one of the rare people that we had on the show that we would text lyrics back and forth, and in the middle of the night, after he was done with a match, he would just voice message a rhyme to me, and I was like, that's very good.
Why was it after I was done with the match? I could have just been sitting around my house drinking or something.
No, I think you were like, I just left a match. I think you told me.
Here's something I learned from doing Drop the Mic.
Yeah.
We had a great time. Method Man, awesome dude. But don't ever go up against an Ali in the United States. Because as soon as she walked out as Layla Ali, as soon as she walked out, it's like, like she hasn't even done anything
So you
yet.
lost immediately before you even rap.
My rhymes were way better than her rhymes.
Yes.
But she had the Ali street cred.
Don't rap battle a woman of a heroic dead father.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually
good
a bad
advice.
thing.
I love it, Ali,
that.
right? Exactly.
I don't think I have any trouble not doing that.
We had fun though. There was a good.
great.
There was a good Layla Eric Clapton joke. in there, which
we
I
were
really
happy to
enjoyed.
have you,
It was
man.
good. Thank you.
Chris, this is we talk about how this is maybe the biggest wrestling has ever been. There's more interest in wrestling right now. Yes, it's me speaking. Than it almost seems like than any time before, thanks to the WWE versus AEW war for starters, right?
Well, we're not at war with anybody. That's a war that was kind of thrust upon us, as they say. But I think the fact that AEW exists is what made wrestling cool again, because our company is different from the others, and we had such a buzz before we even did one TV show that once we did it, people were like, wow, this is a completely different thing. We haven't really experienced this before. A little bit more of a free show, more creative, more artistic, not done the same way that other shows are done. So I think that is, by proxy, made wrestling cool again, because we now have a company that's cool in AEW.
And I have a hard time explaining it to friends, because here in LA, I've been going to PWG for like 10 years. And I don't, when people say, what's the difference between WWE and what I'd seen at PWG, which now has a ton of dudes in AEW. What is the difference if someone's
that's a lot of alphabets.
Yes, it is, yeah. A lot of letters there.
People at home are like, let's go back to the Golden Girls conversation.
if you're just tuning in to see what the difference is between what they know.
It's like if there was, just one band, like, okay, we got, Metallica, and it's all Metallica. If there was no Megadeth, and if there was no Slayer, and if there was no Anthrax, it'd be kind of boring. And that's kind of where we're at now for the last 20 years, where there was a monopoly from the WWE, which is great. They're obviously legendary company, but they do things a certain way.
Yeah.
It's very much the WWE style of things. Our style is a little bit more freeform. Like I said, there's no writers there telling you what to do. As Chris Jericho playing this character for 29 years, I don't need a writer to tell me what to say. I know what to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the
you've proven that, probably.
A few things, like a couple lines here and there. I just think it gives, we're giving the artists a chance to be artists. Let the pros be pros. It reminds me of Clint Eastwood when he does a movie. He does 2 or 3 takes and moves on. And the actor's like, that's all you need? He's like, yes, I hired you to be pros. You're pros. You did a great take. Let's move on. There's a lot of second guessing and micromanaging in WWE, and we really don't have that. And
so you feel they're overproduced?
But that's their style. That's how they do it, and that's very successful. We're not, like I said, we didn't start any wars, and we didn't. You could put on the Super Bowl against AEW Dynamite. You could raise John and George from the dead and do a Beatles reunion against the AEW Dynamite.
I'm not positive.
There's nothing we can do to change that. All we can worry about, we're in competition with ourselves.
And by the way, it's easy to say they doubled the ratings of their competition in wrestling that night.
No, but I want to know what night that Beatles thing is happening. I'd like to tune in.
With the holograms these days, let's make it happen live on KROQ.
Speak about the ratings. When you saw those come out and WWE did the, hey, great premiere, guys, of AEW,
right?
were you like, oh,
but the passive-aggressive, it's a marathon, not a one-night sprint. And we were like, whoever said it was a one-night sprint?
Yeah.
But once again, to me, that was missing the point. Yes, we beat NXT, which was great, but, in television and advertising, it's all about the demos. You're the demo, 18 to 34, 18 to 49. Our demos in the important slots were number 2 on the whole night.
Yeah.
The only thing that beat us was the dastardly Major League Baseball wildcard game, those heathens. But every other show that night, we beat them. So that, to me, was the most important.
It's huge.
It's
You
great.
beat the Golden Girls that night?
There was a Golden Girls marathon.
think they're on.
We crushed them.
And today, I guess it would be dumb of us not to bring up that last night the WWE had their Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, which is kind of a big gimmick thing they do, and it ended so poorly for the fans. The fans were so, not satisfied with what happened. There was a audible in the WWE broadcast, an audible AEW chant.
Yeah. And refund, right?
Yeah, and refund was being yelled. Is that kind of, I guess, fever for something new? Is that?
I think people are excited to have something new and there's an option, and we're kind of like, we're Mavericks. We're the rebel forces against the evil empire of the Death Star and the Vince Vader and all this sort of stuff. So I think that I love when people are like, we'll never watch WWE again until tomorrow night on Raw, 8 o'clock Eastern. Like I said, if people are chanting that's great. I can't worry about what they do. We're just worried about, we did one great show and now we have to continue on by doing another great show on Wednesday.
You still have plenty of time to disappoint people, Chris.
I've made a career out of disappointing people.
All right, we have to take a quick break. Hang on there 1 second. Our guest is Chris Jericho. This is a very exciting morning for us here on the Kevin and Bean Show. We're delighted to have him. The AEW, by the way, is going to be this Wednesday night at 8 on TNT. This is going to be from Boston, is that right?
Emanating from Boston, Massachusetts.
From Boston, Massachusetts. More with Chris right after this on KROQ.
And it is 20 minutes after 9 o'clock, and Chris Jericho.
Whoa!
Right?
Chris Jericho's here. Wait, Kevin, you got to turn it down.
Chris Jericho is here.
No.
Listen to this guy.
Beautiful on the inside.
Listen to this guy.
You are innocence personified.
Chris Jericho is in studio with us here on the Kevin and Bean Show. He is, among other things, the current AEW World Champion. Get back to that in a minute. He is the lead singer of the band Fozzy, which seems to be a thing that you are not only good at, but to take pretty seriously, Chris.
We just currently have our 5th top 30 Billboard single right now. So, we're doing really good.
How many years have you been doing the band?
Well, I've been playing in bands since I was 13. But this band, we started it like in 1999, believe it or not. But over the last 10 years is when we really started focusing. We just did a show out here at the Bank of California Stadium with Iron Maiden like 2 weeks ago.
That's pretty cool.
It was crazy, a stadium show. It was so, we've been doing great. Lots of good stuff going on. And rock radio is still very vibrant and very important.
That's amazing.
When you get embraced by it, it really helped our band. So far, so good.
And by the way, there have to be people who have no idea that you have another life. They just know you as the guy in the band, right? I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, there's I've found now. It's more about the Chris Jericho brand. Some people are Fozzy fans, some people are AEW fans, wrestling fans, some people are both. Some people are fans of just the podcast, Talk is Jericho, or the books that I've written. So you have different pockets of fans. Some of them like everything, some of them like certain elements, but that's why it's important to expand your brand show.
Yeah,
congratulations.
And what makes Chris so much different than a lot of other wrestlers that he came up with is like as wrestlers get older, they kind of get worse. Like their wear and tear start to take over. over and younger guys come up and just sort of take their spot. Chris has been able to sort of reinvent himself over and over again in the game and sort of stay, and you're almost like hitting your stride now, it would feel.
Yeah, I mean, I was always really influenced by David Bowie and how he always changed, evolved, morphed his style of music, his look. He always reinvented himself from record to record, which then made him relevant at all times. I can't remember a time when Bowie wasn't relevant because of that. You never become a nostalgia act. And I think because of this reinvention that I've been doing, it's just kind of given my career a whole new level of longevity.
It's a little scary at times when you try to do something different. Are the fans going to like it? Are they not going to like it?
But what I realize is you have to have pure confidence and commitment to it. And when you have that, people will buy it. Because even if I remember I was in Japan last year. And
I was going to say, it's a totally different character in Japan.
The character I had was much more vicious, and I felt more like it's kind of a serial killer, type thing. So what would a serial killer look like if I was a killer? Maybe I'd put some makeup on, like a Clockwork Orange Alice Cooper thing. And so I just did it. And as soon as you walk out of the dressing room into the area where all the other guys are, I'm like, is anyone going to laugh at this? But nobody did. It's just Jericho again. And you walk out and suddenly you have, thousands of people dressing up as this character for Halloween now. So you just have to believe in what you're doing, have commitment, and know when you have years of experience and people following you that they'll buy it. There's Jericho. Look at that cool costume. Or look at this cool,
Would you do Dancing with the Stars?
I've done it.
He did it.
I did it.
What?
Yeah, he did it.
Yeah, I did it.
I was just thinking, what is the squarest thing I could possibly throw at you to see how committed you were to this character?
He was good.
I lasted 7 weeks.
Yeah, he was good.
And never danced before or since, but at the time, it was.
And people bought it. People were into it.
It was good, man.
That's
because
hilarious.
Dancing is choreography and staying on the beat, right? And understanding the syncopation of music. Well, what do? Wrestling, there's a lot of choreography in that. Being a musician, you have to understand how to stay with the beat in the pocket. So it was actually cut out for it in a lot of ways. And I did.
It's also very physical.
Very physical. I could have lasted maybe 2 more weeks, but I think I lasted way longer than they expected.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of have guys slotted, I think, where they believe they're going to go.
You see the board earlier. Jericho's out in the 3rd week.
He's out first week, but actually I did pretty good. So it was a lot of fun. It was hard.
Because all of our friends who have done it have been out like 2 or 3 weeks in. The Jeff Rosses and the Corollas and people like that. They never last.
Well, you got to put the time into it too. Like you're practicing 7-8 hours a day, like literally, man. If you don't put in that time, you won't do good because you need that much time to get good.
Why Fozzy? Where'd the name come from?
We started as a cover band, and it was just Fozzy Osbourne. We thought it was funny, and then
that works.
And then here we are now with the Fozzy. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Well, look at other names. Def Leppard. Think what is a Def Leppard? Or how about like Kiss?
Sure.
I'm in a band called Hug with 2 G's. The best thing about Fozzy is it's the easiest name to chant. People will chant Fozzy.
It's funny that you think that. It's funny that you think that way. Like chanting is part of it.
Well, he wouldn't have thought that when he had a cover band called Fozzy Osbourne. It's just lucky that plays out.
Yeah. So interesting name, memorable, but that's the name.
I thought it had to do with Fozzy the Bear. That's why you wore scarves.
What is Fozzy Bear? Wears scarves?
A pork pie hat and scarves. What are you talking about?
He wears bow ties and stuff.
I'm so upset right now.
You guys are breaking up.
I'll tell you.
That's her
Jericho.
first love.
I'll
My
explain,
first love
I'll
is
explain
Fozzy Bear.
Golden Girls, and you explain.
That's a deal.
I remember the Swedish chef. He was great. Beaker.
Yeah.
All right.
How did you get?
I never thought you'd be talking about today.
How did you get 4 New York Times best-selling books out of your life already?
I briefly was going to continue this interview as the Swedish chef, but I can't do it.
Oh, it's too bad.
I got the 4 New York Times of bestsellers.
That's a tough one.
It's like Dracula kind of. I just wrote the damn things and people liked them. So I wrote 4 books in 10 years, and the last one came out a couple of years ago, and I just had a publisher just email me again. I'm like, I don't need another autobiography at this point. Like the last one was more of a self-help book. But what am I, F. Scott Fitzgerald? Like 4 autobiographies in 10 years?
Enough.
But no, you got a lot of stuff to talk about. Yeah, but I think I just need to take a little bit of a break for a bit because the last was called "No" is a 4-letter word, and like I said, it was based around 20 principles that I had learned throughout my career and my life on how to achieve your goals. So that one was a little bit more of a different vibe to it, which was really
and that
cool.
would be for anybody who's in any field, right?
Any field,
just
exactly.
Good habits. To learn.
Exactly.
So I have a question for anyone who's like a more of a wrestling head. Is there anyone on this new? Because it's crazy because you have a whole new roster to deal with now. Like you've been working for decades, and yet these guys are all new to you. Who out of the whole roster are you most excited to go against to fight?
Just all of them. The thing that you need to create a viable competitor, alternative option to WWE is you need money, which the Khan family from Jacksonville, they own the Jaguars, amongst many other things. They have the money and the passion. You need a great television deal, which we got on TNT, one of the biggest cable networks in the world, and you need a roster of 6 to 8 minimum fresh main event guys, which we have, guys that have been doing this for years, but never in the States. They've been plying their craft in Japan, and like you mentioned, PWGs. I'm talking about Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, Cody Rhodes. So you have all these guys that when they come into AEW, they're going to be 10-year overnight sensations. People are going to watch and go, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, how are they so good?
How are they so good, and why have we never heard of them before? And they're guys that chose not to go to WWE.
Yeah.
The Bucks had a deal with Hot Topic. They were making, hundreds of thousands of dollars on merch, and they were like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
So that's what I was really excited about. And what Chris Jericho is a bridge for people that know who I am, know my history, and go, well, what's this AEW? Well, Jericho's there? Well, let's check it out. And then they'll see all these other guys.
New names,
and go, holy smokes, this is amazing. So anybody in the company I'm excited to work with because they're all basically brand new matches for me.
Well, I'm gonna put my vote in for a guy named Luchasaurus, who is
I love the Luchasaurus.
a dinosaur.
I'm sorry?
His character is that he is a dinosaur.
A dinosaur.
Who also has a master's degree.
Yeah, and he's a giant too. And that's the thing. The Luchasaurus and his partner is Jungle Boy, who's Luke Perry's son Jack. So they're called the Jurassic Express. And one of those things when you see him at first, you're like, what the hell is this? And then when it's done, you'll be going, Luchasaurus!
Luchasaurus! They'll become your favorites.
Yeah,
It'll be very hard to describe them to your friends.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Your grandparents will not understand.
He's a dinosaur. The other one's Luke Perry's kid. They're very, very good.
AEW, I'm sorry, Chris, let me plug again. 2-hour weekly matches airing Wednesdays at 10 on TNT. Just started last week.
Wednesdays at 8.
8. I'm so sorry. I read that wrong. Yes, Wednesdays at 8, 2 hours, right.
And we have Full Gear coming up. That's your big event, like a pay-per-view. Right?
Yes, yeah,
and that's November 9th?
November 9th,
That's your birthday.
My birthday.
That's right.
There you go. Exactly. So,
why do you know that's his birthday?
Because he, in his recent promo, he talked about how winning this would be
letting everybody know.
He said this would be the best present he could get.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not one of
Jensen,
those
you're
guys
going on Chris's cruise, aren't you?
He does. He has a cruise, and our friend Brad Williams is always involved in it.
He was going to go,
right.
but then his
Had
wife had
baby.
the audacity to get pregnant. So
That'd be gross.
we replaced his ass with Gabriel Iglesias.
Another
So-
friend.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Chris Jericho's Rockin' Wrestling Rager at Sea. This is our second one. Sold out like about a month ago, and we go out in January. So if you want to get on the waiting list, it's ChrisJerichoCruise.com. If not, you miss out.
The man is he's a
does
walking
everything.
entrepreneur.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
He's everything.
All right, before we say goodbye with our good wishes, Allie, you ready for the thing?
I am.
The thing.
Allie is going to fire questions at you. Just first answer that comes to your mind, please. It's 60 seconds with our guest, Chris Jericho.
All right.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Do you think it's weird that Tarzan doesn't have a beard?
Yes.
If animals could talk, which one would be the biggest a-hole?
Chipmunk.
Creepiest thing you could say to a stranger you pass in the street?
Open your mouth and let me spit in it.
Okay. Twizzlers or Red Vines?
Ooh, Twizzler.
Should CM Punk be in AEW or WWE?
Ask Mr. Punk.
We did.
He probably gave you the angry
did.
answer.
It was non-committal.
Dog kisses on the mouth, yes or no?
Yes.
What is your worst trait?
Really bad at answering questions quickly.
You can eat only one food for the rest of your life. What would it be?
Steak.
Oh, okay. If you could know when you will die, would you want to?
No. Absolutely not.
Dream
We have
dinner
bad
date.
news for you, Chris.
Drop the 16-ton weight. Speaking of Muppets.
What is your dream, or who is your dream dinner date?
Dream dinner date? Oh, geez, my goodness. Date would imply it has to be someone from
No,
the
it could be
female
either.
No, it could be anyone.
Love to go out for dinner with Paul McCartney.
Good answer.
Well said.
All right.
Okay,
Good
Yeah.
I'd like to go back and talk about open your mouth so I can spit in it.
Yeah.
That was a strange answer.
Yeah. I mean, we all have our kinks.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
It's Kevin and Bean on KROQ. KROQ.